If you buy a property by the age of 25, you will be set for the rest of your life. I want you to do it. I want you to be able to get there. And I'm going to handle some of the objections that I come across all the time of why you can't do it. I'm telling you, you can do it. And all you have to do from that point forward is pay the mortgage. And by the time you're 30, 35, 40 or older, you have nothing to worry about financially for the rest of your life. If you like real estate content and want to stay up to date, please click subscribe. If you want to stay up to date on my marketplace of Surrey BC, hit that notification bell. And of course, make sure to hit that like button and rank us up through YouTube and get this information out to others that may find it valuable. Okay, so buy a property by 25. Here is the breakdown. I find that usually the biggest stumbling block of getting into a property can actually be your parents. Believe it or not. When we go out with first-time buyers, they're looking at properties. Their parents are the ones telling them often how this property is not good enough for you. And you can't really blame them. I mean, I'm a parent. I want the best for my kids, and I don't want them to put them in a negative situation. However, for all of you parents out there, get out of the way. Your kids need to grow. Just get out of the way. Here's how I handle this when a parent is kind of overbearing and feeling that angst for their little babies, well, that are now 25 years old, trying to get into the marketplace. Generally, what I'll do is I will just ask them the simple question: what was your first property like? And generally, I'll hear all these sob stories about this terrible place that they bought. It was a 600 or 700 or 800 square foot rancher, rat infested, and we could barely stuff both kids inside. And it was all we could do to scrape and get into the market. And guess what, guys? This is exactly what your kid's doing now, except it's not the house with the white picket fence anymore. The first time buyer in our marketplace, at least in my marketplace in Surrey, needs to get their foot on the property ladder, likely into a 1, or maybe if they're lucky, a 2-bedroom condo. And then at that point, they can worry about moving on forward into that forever home.
Sorry to interrupt, but just a real quick note from the editing floor here. If you already own a home, just please write down in the comments right down below, how old were you when you purchased your first property?
But if you don't get in that, you gotta step on the ladder if you want to climb up it. So this proves the point. Maybe the 1-bedroom condo that your kid's looking at right now isn't necessarily that bad. It's not exactly what you had envisioned, but it does get their foot in the door, so to speak, and does get them moving on eventually to the next property. And tell you what, most 1-bed condos these days with the granite and the stainless, not necessarily a bad place to live, but it is strata living. And I find that strata living is usually what holds the parents back, because they have this, as I said before, this kind of mindset of the white picket fence and the whole deal. The next objection and this comes from not from the parents, but this is from the young people: I can't afford the down payment. If you can't afford the down payment, you are either spending in the wrong spot, or you're looking at too high of properties. Again, you got to buy a property, whatever you can, at 24, 25, 26 years old, ideally by your 26th birthday, and then just watch that equity grow. So let's go over down payment. In my marketplace, your first or your 1-bedroom condos are $300,000 to $400,000. Today, you can get in with 5% down. That's half of what I got in with way back when the rules were different, at 10% down. Let's say that's on the low end 15,000, on the high end $20,000. Well, it's not that tough to come up with. You have to not spend on things like, and the number one mistake, the biggest mistake, what I call overcarring. I think I actually learned that term from Rebecca Dick at BMO. People, when they're 22 years old, they get this good job. It's paying however many bucks an hour more than Macdonald's was paying them. They immediately run out and buy a big truck or a fancy sports car. Do not overcar. Don't spend on ridiculous things. It should not take you a very long time. Even if you're, $35,000 a year, if you're still living at home with mom, you should be able to save up to $15,000 by the time you are 25. I mean, sure, when I bought, yeah, prices were lower. But again, as I said, it was a 10% down payment at that point. So even though I bought for $138,000, I still had to come up with almost that $15,000 or that 13,800 or whatever. And really, let's face it, a lot of you guys out there, the younger crowd is going to get help from parents. If you can save up 10 grand and maybe get 5 grand from the folks, you can get your foot in the door. You just have to commit to doing it. But isn't it amazing that 15 years ago or 16 years ago, whenever I bought my first place, I won't tell you how old I am, the down payment is virtually identical today as it was then, even though house prices are through the roof. Next objection. If you're saying this and you're under 25, I want you to stop saying it. I'm going to save up 20% and avoid CMHC. That is something you heard from your parents. I want you to get it out of your brain. CMHC is the insurance on a mortgage, and the premium for your property that you're going to buy, say $350,000, is probably going to be 7 grand tacked on top of what you owe to the bank. However, let me explain why saving is the wrong thing to do. So you're going to save up 20%. All you need is 5%, but you're going to save up 20%. So now you're taking your $15,000 to $17,000 down payment. Let's say it's 15. Let's say you're really scraping into the bottom of the market. You're going to now need $60,000 down. Well, if you can't save 15, you for sure cannot save 60. And by the time you do save 60, the market could go up 25%, meaning you need to now save 75.
Sorry to interrupt again. Have you hit that like button yet? Just maybe give it a little.
So instead of paying 15 now and then the $7,000 premium, now you've saved up 75,000 and what? You're 5 years older, 10 years older, and you're still just trying to get your foot in the door of that 1-bedroom apartment. And what is your reward for all that time and energy and saving? Well, you've been paying rent, but also at the same time, your bank, because you're now uninsured, is actually going to charge you a higher interest rate, often because they're ending up back-ending that insurance premium and just not telling you about it and charging it back to you through interest. So please get in at 5% down because you cannot save as fast as the market will rise. Okay, next objection. And I just got this from one of you guys. It was actually a former tenant of mine. I'm not going to rat you out, but I am ratting you out in theory right now. I don't want to be tied down. I don't want to get into a property and then, I don't know, maybe what I want to do is run off and bartend in Nicaragua and learn how to make the perfect Mai Tai for the rest of my life, or go sow my oats or whatever you want to do. Well, don't laugh at that, because I'm going to tell you a story right now of a client that did exactly this. He got into a property and made sure it was rentable. He bought that property for $290,000 and lived in it for a year. Because remember, you do have to, if you're going to get that first time home buyer exemption, you do actually have to live in the property for a year, or you're going to owe a whole bunch of tax back to the government. But what he did after that year period is he thought, enough of this Vancouver life, and he literally moved to Nicaragua and opened a bar and sowed his oats and learned to make the best Mai Tai in the world, or whatever he did. But when he came back, his property that his tenant was then paying the mortgage on continuously for the whatever he was there 2, 3, 4 years, he comes back and that property he ended up selling for $525,000, an amount he never possibly could have saved, no matter if he was working here his whole life or if he was off partying in Central America. Still not convinced? Let's go through our marketplace here in Surrey, because I mean, people are worried about, what if I buy now and then maybe I do move and the prices go down? Well, let me go back in time in 5-year chunks and show you exactly how you will not lose money over time. If you buy at a peak and a year later you have to sell, there is a possibility, but over a 5-year period, I guarantee you will not. Can I guarantee? I don't know if I can. You will not lose money. Sorry, I got my notes just by the side here, so I'm going to go over them. Your property will be worth more for sure in 5 years. As a result, these are the Surrey combined prices in 2006 for apartments. Now, this is benchmark pricing. 2006, January, $139,600. That's actually super close to what I paid for my first condo. But hey, interesting that that's the case. Let's move forward to 2011. So 139. 2011, 5 years later, $189,500. big increase, right? We're talking $50,000. Again, are you saving that $50,000 or are you making that $50,000? Let's go to 2016. Now, this is the smallest gap. So 2011, we get up to 189. At 2016, we're only at 2049. So a $15,000 raise. But again, you're paying rent somewhere else. You may as well be putting that money into your mortgage and getting the raise. But hold on to your hats. We're 2021, the next 5-year increment. And now the benchmark price in Surrey combined apartments is $403,400. You cannot save that fast. All you have to do is buy a property by the age of 25, pay your mortgage. Don't even have to live there. You can rent it out after that first year tax. Anyway, I already gave the tax explanation previous. Just pay your mortgage and you will be set for the rest of your life. And remember, this is your first step on that property ladder. We find it about every 4 years. Every 4 years, a first-time buyer will come back to us and then have enough equity built through the raise of the price plus what they've been paying into their mortgage to get to the next spot. So maybe the next spot is a 2-bedroom townhouse, possibly a 3-bedroom townhouse, enough space for the kids. If you follow this formula in another 4 years, you may be moving to your forever home. Ideally, it might take 2 or 3 moves possibly, but ideally, if you buy by 25, you are in your forever home by 35. As long as you didn't do these 2 things. One was what I alluded to before, which was overcarring in the beginning. If you bought that brand new F-150 when you were 21 years old for $70,000, you've already screwed yourself. Sell it, get your money out when you can, and try and buy a property as soon as possible. You may actually have enough money in that to sell it and buy the property today. The other thing I want you to do, and this will be a little bit controversial, just try not to have kids till you're 30. If you don't have kids till you're 30, you will save all that money that they are as an expense. And if you have kids when you're 30 in your second property, you will be set for life. And remember that this first step has just been getting your foot on that property ladder. You're going to move 2 or 3 more times. You're going to kind of get up to that in about a 4-year period, that next step. And that maybe that 3-bedroom townhouse or 2 moves from now might be that forever home. I managed to do it by the age of 34, I want to say. And I think everybody else can. But if you don't do these steps and if you go off and sow your oats until you're 30 or 35 years old, at 35, you're now going to be scraping to get into that 2-bedroom condo when the rest of the 35-year-olds that bought at 25 are set for the rest of their lives. If you like this information, subscribe, notification bell, and please click like to get this message up and out to all the other young people looking to invest and make their lives better. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.